Welcome back to another episode of the Tipton Thrives Podcast. I am here with Mayor Kegan Schmicker, and we're going to talk about 2026 and what's on the horizon. So last episode, we kind of recapped 2025 with your strategic priorities. So this year, we're going to this episode, we're going to talk about what 2026 is going to look like for the City of Tipton.
Yeah.
So we want to jump right into it. I know There's a list of priorities in no specific order, but these are kind of just things that are for sure happening this year. Whether you see them happening yet or not, they are at least bookmarked. So I think we'll probably start with the one that everybody knows and loves is the baseball project.
Correct. Yeah, and I really want to emphasize that point you made is, this discussion today is about things that are happening. They're already committed. Projects are in motion. So these are the things that we're going to see in 2026. And you talk about baseball. So this has obviously been the project that's been the most challenging, frankly. But as of today, the permit's been in DNR's hands for 58 days as of the recording of this podcast. And we are now on step 18 of 20 with DNR and getting through to that final execution of a permit. We have at least 2 IDEM permits that we have secured. We've gotten through the state design release and have gotten approval from that. So a lot of the back-end logistics that have to go into this project to even get to the point of starting the project. So, and then in conjunction with that, we've vetted all of the bids that have been turned in for the project. We're reviewing those. We're continuing to pursue the capital campaign to support the project, and there's some opportunities now that we can see with the bids being turned in, some stretch opportunities for the project. But absolutely, we're expecting this project to be completed in 2026, and ideally, the sooner the better. And that's the emphasis we continue to put on this project. So we should, barring any major challenges from DNR, should be breaking ground here in the first quarter of 2026.
And the DNR process, they estimated, 60 to 90 days?
Yeah,
right?
They tell us 90 days to be safe. We were hoping with some conversations that happened before we turned in the application that we might be able to get that closer to 60, but they always tell us 90. So that's what we have built into the project plan.
Yeah, and so for people who are listening that, I've seen the feedback on comments and things. It's like we haven't seen anything for months.
You're correct.
And obviously we've mentioned the DNR permit process, but even without that DNR permit, all these other things would have still had to happen.
Oh, absolutely.
Correct. So it's not unrealistic to say that we would still be in the same process of securing the IDEM permits, securing the state design release permit and all of that. Right. So it's not like the DNR thing has put us way behind because we're still
some of these
getting the other back end.
Yeah, because we've gotten through some of these faster than we are now because of DNR. Yes, that's probably true. But there's still functions that had to occur. So,
and it's given us time to get those secured.
True.
Right? It wasn't like we were just sitting here waiting for the DNR one and then move on to IDEM and the design release and all these other steps. So,
and we ran our securing bids from contractors. There's been a long process there to be intentional about the project and making sure that we had a project that was designed well as in comparison to the project budget. So this also has been running in conjunction with the DNR permitting process. So to your point, we might still be in the same position timeline-wise because of that, but we've been able to run some of these congruent timelines together to be hopefully more conscientious on the timelines to deliver this project.
Yeah, and you talk about the contractors and securing some of those bids and things. For people who are like, well, I thought we already secured a contractor back in the summer. Can you talk about that process? Because that general contractor is the big one, and then all this other is basically who will be doing the actual work, correct? Yeah,
so and this gets really complicated into the jargon of what is government leadership or community leadership, but through the build, operate, and transfer delivery method, you do secure your general contractor, and that's the process that was done through the public bidding process. We released an RFP and interviewed these firms on a qualifications basis to select that individual. So then once you secure them, they have the authority then to go out and not only create the design or in this case, confirm the design of the facility, then they can have those really direct conversations with the subcontractors to make sure that from an electrical perspective, here are the specs and here's where all the outlets are, and then having conversations with several electrical contractors or concrete contractors, framers, roofers, like the whole gamut. Mm-hmm. They then have that authority to go and have those conversations to then secure bids from them so they can further qualify and select the contractor that best serves the project. So, all that has been in motion, occurring. We've gotten now. And what this leads to is through the build, operate, and transfer process, delivery method, the general contractor will turn in formally a guaranteed maximum price. That's the maximum this project is going to cost for in our case, the municipality, the City of Tipton. That'll get communicated to the Board of Works. That'll get communicated to the City Council. And no matter what occurs, within reason with the project, no change orders, that is the guaranteed maximum price that we will incur as a City of Tipton. And if the project comes in less than that, we hit some efficiencies or, price of materials decreases or labor, tariffs, we, the city, will reap the benefit of that as we would expect. But if the project goes over budget, tariffs come in, price of materials, labor, the contractor will then be forced to consume those overages. So it best protects us as a City of Tipton and the taxpayers. But that's with this delivery method. Again, kind of jargon as we talk about it, but really important to the delivery of this project.
Yeah, so people know that like the city is committed the $2 million bond, whatever we can raise through the capital campaign. Yep. The general contractor is going to come back and say, this will be what this city is responsible for. Yep. And if it goes over, it's not like the city is just going to be an endless pit of cash to keep giving the general contractor for this project. Yeah. So there is no fear of, this is going to drag on for another 2 years and cost another $1 million that the taxpayers weren't expecting or anything like that.
We're very committed to this project, and I can appreciate it. It feels like, and this is a hurry up and wait process of a project, because this one is so public, it probably feels even more so, but we are very committed to this project. We will be breaking ground on this project in the Q1 of 2026, again, barring any major catastrophe with DNR that we don't expect. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you also mentioned, the bids from the contractors are coming back in, and that's even opened some possibilities for stretching some of the capital campaign funds. Is there anything that you're able to share with, potential stretches?
One thing that's not in the project scope that I want to see return, just because of the feedback I hear from the community and parents, is the playground area of the baseball facility. And nobody talks about, like, this was an overbuilt, right? Had all this playground equipment, but it was a safe space that the younger children could go and spend time in. That way they weren't in the bleachers creating distractions or even just running around chaotically in the facility. They were in an area that had some fencing, so they were safely in there. That's an area of this project that I think would be really great, because it's a great amenity to the families to bring back. We have a spot for it. Currently, it's not built into the project budget, but we also don't expect it to be a lot of fiscal resources to get it across that finish line. So that's definitely an area that we would stretch, to try to secure a sponsor or two to help us complete that project.
Yeah, I think it gives some peace of mind to the parents too. Yes. That, I have one kid on the field and then a little one running around. I at least know, knock on wood, they should stay in that area, whatever. But
and my my oldest is just now to the age of participating in baseball. So I didn't play baseball in Tipton. So just to get some familiarity, like, these are the younger children, right? They're typically engaging in this. So they do need these reference spaces of, there's a fence there, you cannot cross it. To the parents' satisfaction or just comfort, we know that Rio is going to be in this area playing, right, with her friends. And I can glance over. I'm still watching the game, but I can glance over for the confirmation. And all that's important to the families of Tipton.
Awesome. And you mentioned the capital campaign, and we did have news earlier in January that TCF, Tipton County Foundation, has joined the list of major donations for the capital campaign with a $100,000 commitment there. Are there other opportunities outside of, we've had TCF and we've had IU Health Tipton medical staff? Those are the extreme cases. Are there smaller opportunities for, smaller businesses or individuals that people can look to?
Yeah. In truth, anything from $1 to those larger donations, and like you said, the highest level we have currently is $100,000, and those are the levels that IU Health and Tipton County Foundation have secured. But truly, any amount is helpful toward this project. So, if you feel inclined, you want to support this effort, you want to see baseball return to the city of Tipton, or you want to help us in those stretch goals to get these other amenities added to the facility, absolutely, we want to have that conversation. We want to be helpful and honor your commitment to the project.
Yeah.
So any amount, $1 to $100,000, everything is helpful for this project.
Yeah, but the project is happening regardless.
Correct.
It's not a matter
the
of
campaign helps us to stretch. It helps us to secure the other additional features.
Yeah.
But the project is going to happen regardless if we raise $1 or $1 million. It's going to happen.
Awesome. So let's move on to the next one with more constant kind of work is the street department and, roads in Tipton. And I know there's even something coming up that I can mention, the NDOT public meeting.
Yes.
I think this episode will air before then, looking at Dan,
exactly.
But I know that's coming up. So what else is happening? We can talk about the NDOT project, but what else is happening with the street department, with the roads across the city?
Yeah, so we started a project last year on East Street, which was the continuation, as I continue to say, water seems to be the city's worst enemy. If that was true when the city was founded, continues to be true today. So we're really trying to be intentional about building the major trunk lines to transfer the water from the sky to our roads, to the drains, to the creek. That's the basic formula. Yet on these southern quadrants, that infrastructure didn't exist. By the conclusion of 2026, we do have those major trunk lines installed in the southern two quadrants. One was on West Street that we completed just in middle of 2025. And then this was our second effort to add on the east side down East Street. So the work that continues on Jackson and Independence. And we've got images while on West Street. There's some other reasons that we prioritize that one first for some utilities and the road aspects of it. And we also added that multi-use path on East Street. We actually have images of after a rain event, the water is actually over the curb and over the sidewalk in some areas. And so that's problematic, right? Now we're talking about damaging personal property. So to be able to solve this, we've already heard from some property owners when we announced this of, sincere joy. Finally, we're addressing the drainage issues on that side of town. So that work continues. It'll be complete in 2026. So I think that's a major improvement for the city of Tipton. And then you talk about NDOT, and there's some road work that is actually going to happen at the interchange 28 and 31. We're going to do some repairs to the roundabouts over there. They're going to add a stoplight to 560 West on 28. So those are going to be some new interchange or just intersection infrastructure added. And then there's going to be a public hearing or a public meeting about roundabout at Division Road 19. So there's some major intersection improvements on the slate for 2028, I believe, is the year for both Division in 19 and 213 in 28. So, invite people to please participate. I think NDOT is trying to be thoughtful, meaningful in these conversations and making sure that the community is well aware. Because those are going to be very challenging. They're going to be full shutdowns, very disruptive. So the fact that they want to spend this time this early is great news for the community.
Yeah. And if you have concerns, that's what the public meeting is for, right? We see it, at least I see it in the Facebook group and all of that about, especially the most recent, the stop signs out at 19 in Division. This is your opportunity to talk to the people that are planning these projects. It impacts Tipton, but they aren't City of Tipton projects. So
correct.
I know
it's true.
You can complain on to us on Facebook if you want, but they are NDOT projects, and I would strongly encourage you to go to the public meetings and voice your concerns if you have concerns, whether you drive that route every day or you're tired of seeing people complain about it, whatever it may be. This is your opportunity. So,
True.
Anything else with streets before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, there'll be the continual projects that we'll have throughout the year. And right now there's a project at Main and Dearborn, some major sidewalk project that's turned into a utility project. So some really great work that's happening there, where we had a challenge that came up due to some cracked sidewalks. So this is an instance where the city received the feedback. We scoped a project immediately, understanding the need to address it, and that now has turned into a larger, I think, improvement project as a result. So I hesitate to say more, but I'm going to. The City of Tipton used to have these historic fountains that were across the city.
I was wondering if I could bring that up, so I'm glad you did.
Again, taking some risk here, but these were unique features for the community, and I think features that our forefathers thought were meaningful to the quality of life around the City of Tipton. That location was actually the last location to have one of these fountains. Some of the problems that we had, that fountain was removed because it was actually hit. Someone backed into it, which then injured its ability, right, to continue to be used. But there was no backflow prevention. So if you were drinking the water, like the water would go back into the system. It wasn't frost proof either. So there's challenge, of course, freezing during the winter months. The manufacturers have now fixed those things. So what I'm excited about is we're bringing back the water fountain to that location. For us, it's going to be a test. I think, and I really trying to put myself in the shoes of the forefathers, decision makers of the City of Tipton, these quality of life amenities, while they seem small, I think they make a big impact on people congregating or frankly, they're just out walking and taking the dog for a walk, with their kids, or traveling just to and fro, that now have this historic fountain accessible to them so they can utilize it. We're going to try it. We're going to bring it back to the location. I'm excited about it because we heard from the community back in 2020 or 2021, and there's a lot of people discouraged and disappointed with that. So this is another, we listened to the feedback, we heard you, and we think, it's worth trying to bring it back in this location and testing it.
And then if it goes well, potential to bring the others?
That is my hope.
Again,
I think these are unique features that, if we can prove the success in this area around some local businesses, what does that look like in downtown? What does this look like to expand that in the park system? Again, I think that would be an ideal outcome of this.
All right, moving on. Another big, probably the biggest ongoing project that people can notice is the public safety building. You want to give an update on that? Anything else happening in the public safety world? Obviously, the project hopefully is wrapping up this year, but what else is happening?
So this is the largest investment into that facility since it was constructed in the early 90s. So while... And again, I want to be careful with this because it doesn't address all the challenges with the building. I want to be very honest about that. But we are making a significant step to address some of the challenges that they've had and have had for several years in that building. But very proud that we've gotten to this point. We're addressing the water intrusion that's happening on the building, where the windows, for example, some members of the department say that the windows have never operated appropriately. They've leaked either air or water, have frosted on the interiors since construction completed. So we're adjusting those now. We're seeing windows being installed today. This morning, it was 17 degrees this morning, and they were replacing windows. Thought they were a bit crazy for doing that, but I would have held out for maybe some warmer weather. But they're doing that, and they've addressed the roof issues over the apparatus bays. We've seen the siding panels on the apparatus bays. And again, I say apparatus bays. This is where they have the fire engines and the ambulance. Those have been replaced. The windows on the fire side will get reglazed above the apparatus bays. So work continues to be done. We're waiting on materials to rebuild the entry in front of the police department. So, work's going to continue. Estimated completion, I think, is the end of April, beginning of May. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And just going back to some more boring conversation about delivery methods, where we talked about build, operate, and transfer. This project was different than that. So this is your traditional, we have an idea, we design it, and then we bid it out, and then by law we're required to take the lowest, most responsive bidder. So the challenge with those is always the change orders that come in, and sometimes you'll see, or at least I want to be very careful because I'm not trying to accuse anybody, but communities have struggled with, you get the lowest responsive bidder. Well, they intentionally are the lowest, knowing the change orders are going to help come in and save their profit margin. That's not true in every case, and that's not true in our case right now, thankfully, because we've got a good contractor. But the challenge that we do have is if there's an issue they run into, they have to submit a change order. We have Hearn Construction, who's really doing a phenomenal job for us, both on the communication side with the departments, but then also the construction. So I think we really had we had a lot of bids that were turned in for the project, but luckily we had a local contractor to the region who's very comfortable and competent within the space. We got them on site and building out the project. So a couple more months and we'll be complete. And then you raised the question about what else? Public safety, and one notable change that we're making that the community's not going to notice likely unless you keep an eye on the make and models of the police squad cars. We are transitioning to a fleet-managed relationship with the police cars, the fire truck for the chief's vehicle for the fire department, and the street department, parks department. This is actually because of fiscal responsibility, trying to make sure that we're managing our dollars the best across the city of Tipton. Estimated over a 10-year period, we're going to save $200,000 for the city of Tipton, while actually improving our fleet, decreasing the average age and their capability. So really great outcomes that our officers, the fire chief, our street department, parks department, cemetery, will all have better equipment, more capable equipment, yet providing tax savings to the taxpayers. So that's something new for us. You'll see the street department, I think, has 3 new vehicles that are on the road today that people have likely seen. And then the police department will be another one that's going to receive new squad cars that are transition from the Explorer to the Durango. But excited about that too.
Little different color.
Yeah, correct.
Slightly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Slightly different color there. Some of that is manufacturer dependent, but yeah, slightly different color.
And what do you mean specifically for like the fleet management? Like, how does that differ from how the departments are operating now for people who might not understand?
So traditionally we have, and especially in the police department, and I'll speak on from their point of view specifically because they probably had the best fleet management program of any department in the city of Tipton. We would budget dollars for them to buy vehicles outright. And so they would go to the dealerships. They would secure bids for 1, 2, 3 squad cars, depending on the replacement cycle. And then we would just buy those outright. What we've done instead is the other challenge that we had was we were viewing vehicles from a department by department perspective. It was not a holistic approach where we would go to a local dealership and we would tell them we need 3 squad cars, we need 1 dump truck, we need 1 pickup truck. Every department head was communicating their own needs to the dealerships. So what this does is actually it's a comprehensive approach where we do detail what are the needs within the street department, the police department, fire department, cemetery, parks, and we also document the current ages of their vehicles and then try to replace them from a oldest to newest. It doesn't work perfectly like that, but that's usually the strategy we try to address is getting rid of our oldest vehicles on the road, some of which date back to the early 90s, actually. So some of them are quite old. Mm-hmm. So that's the approach we've taken now, where we do stretch them over a 5-year lease. And it is called a lease, but we do retain ownership at the expiration of that. And then we have an option. We can retain ownership of those vehicles, or after the 5 years, it'll actually have resale value. So we could use that resale value and then decrease our new vehicle acquisition. We haven't gotten through, of course, we just launched it in 2026, so we've got time on our hands.
Yeah.
we already suspect there's going to be some vehicles, maybe even within the street department, because Tipton is not a big city, right? We're not putting a lot of road miles on these vehicles.
Yeah.
There's a possibility that we retain ownership of those vehicles. And then to that point with the street department, they have snow plows. Some of them have unique bed structures, dump beds or utility beds. We can actually preserve those beds, take them and put them on new vehicles if we chose to, or just keep the asset. So that's sort of what we're working through right now is the implementation of that. And we've already decreased the average age of our fleet from a 2012, 2013, I believe, model year to a 2018, 2019. Wow. So already making some big improvements. Yeah. It doesn't sound big when you think about 12 to 19 is not that big. But when we do have vehicles who have a 1990s model year, it is a big deal for those departments.
Yeah. So along similar lines is code enforcement.
Yep.
That's something that's changed over this year at the start of the year. Can you talk about, one, just the general change? I don't know how much we've talked about it. I think, did we speak about it last one? Yeah. But, just give a recap of the general change, and then I know you have something else about the portal that's going to be launching soon, if not already.
So on January 1, the city launched its own planning department, and with that came the code enforcement component of that as we transition an employee to the department, and she's doing a really great job. You hear what she is on day 9, and just really impressed with the work we've been doing, the conversations we've had, I think the challenges that we've already encountered just as a natural function of code enforcement.
Yeah.
But I think I'm really just proud of how she's handled those situations. So to that end, though, what we are doing, again, this is something that is happening in 26, hopefully early 26, is we're going to launch a portal for the community. So an individual, today, if you have a code enforcement you see a code enforcement issue, you call somebody, you email somebody. It's a very traditional, archaic process. And then you somewhat have to trust, right? The person I'm calling or emailing is going to document and then make sure my issue gets solved. What we're going to do is launch a portal that would allow an individual to, if they see an issue, they can still call, they can still email. We're never going to refuse those communications, but more self-service. They can actually open a map up on a web browser, whether on their phone or computer. They can click on a parcel and then turn in a ticket. So whether it's trash or nuisance or we're going to have the opportunity for pothole reporting, if there's a tree, dead or dying tree, a tree of concern, or other just debris in roadways, there's going to be a plethora of opportunities for people to report this information, tools that the community has never had before, and it really self-service. But then this portal will allow them to see when they initially submit a ticket. It, of course, goes to our staff to review. Once they've reviewed it, it then populates on the map, and it'll show initially red. Red just means we've received it. It's not yet been assigned.
Yeah. Then
it transitions to yellow. Yellow is it's been assigned to a team member or a staff member. The City of Tipton is being worked on. And then when we satisfy that report of an issue, it'll then transition to green. So it really provides the information directly back to the taxpayers that these things are important to us just as they are to you, and we want you to hold us accountable. We want to be responsive. We want to solve these challenges in and around your communities, your neighborhoods. So I think this is going to be a really powerful communication tool. Our team's really excited about it, just to improve some communication amongst the community from resident to department, but then also across departments. So we think this would be a good tool to add some case notes into, so we can all stay comprised of the progress being made across the City of Tipton.
What all departments will have access to it? Or
initially we're viewing it from the lens of code enforcement. So code enforcement, and then they work very closely with our municipal services, street department, and parks department. There'll forever be this opportunity to expand this into police department, fire department, utilities, and the list goes on and on. So those are sort of the future build outs, but we want to keep the scope a little narrow to start with so we can iron out some kinks. And again, the team's really excited about this tool, and can't wait to get it built and published to the community.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be sharing that on Facebook when that comes out. Yep. And I know we plan on talking about planning, code enforcement in more depth at I don't remember which month, sometime in the first quarter or first 2 quarters of the year on this podcast. So that should give you a lot more insight into the switch from the county to the city and all of that information. So be on the lookout for that. Next one we have on the list is the industrial park. There was some news in 2025 about, we secured a bond for work out there, but I think we can share some more news at this point and what's happening on the horizon.
Yeah, we're working really aggressively with the city's redevelopment commission and 2 prospects that we've been working with for quite some time now. And so now we're at the point of having pretty significant confidence in that we're going to secure these 2 prospects in the industrial park by the conclusion of Q2. So by the summer, having 2 announcements out there. This will enable us to extend the industrial drive out there, and with it, the utilities. There's still work to be done on that effort, but again, because of the work we've been investing in, the conversations we've been having, the support of the city's redevelopment commission, really confident we're going to be at a place here at the summer to have 2 big announcements for the community, and more to come. We continue to have folks expressing interest into the City of Tipton, and we're working very diligently to make sure that we have the right spaces, the right opportunities to facilitate those to be more announcements for the City of Tipton. So the bond is going to enable some of this activity, and these will be welcome news for the city, not only just to have local businesses building or expanding locally, but we're adding jobs, high-paying jobs for the community. So more details to come when those get finalized. But right now we're just really inspired and confident in the work that's been done, but more to come.
Yeah. And as, we're looking at economic development for the city, having the industrial park is such a strong strategic point for the city. Because we have downtown, obviously, but that's attracts a whole different type of business. So can you talk about the strategy of, downtown economic development versus bringing in stuff at the industrial park?
Yeah, certainly on the downtown, a lot of that is focused on activation, right? We want to see the sidewalks activated with people on them. And what I keep communicating to people is we will know when we've been successful downtown when we see people walking on sidewalks at 6:30 at night on a Friday. Now, there could be a really popular movie and we see that, but it's in a isolated block of downtown, whereas I want to see this widespread. So the strategy there is, how do we attract the businesses? How do we create the density, the people living in downtown, creating the reasons to congregate in downtown? How do we create that environment? Some of it's through unique retail, some of it's through the expansion, the startups of restaurants and bars, and then some of it is just naturally through people living in downtown and the second stories are close to. So that's sort of the strategies around that. But in the industrial park, it's a little different, where the focus for the industrial park, not only do we want to be competitive in that Tipton is a great place to start your business. We're, from an administration perspective, we want to be supportive in providing the tools and resources they need to locate here. But they're paying 3% tax rate in the state of Indiana, so that's important to us. Usually, they have higher. They produce more tax revenues for the City of Tipton. They produce jobs for communities, while downtown does too. Industrial partners have more of them, right? A downtown shop might hire 1 to 10 people or more. In some special circumstances, they're hiring potentially dozens of people. So that's another key difference between is the employment levels. And then I think the industrial park, you mentioned, like, it's a key strategic asset for the City of Tipton, because I think over time we've learned to be mindful of our zoning across the country, and that we want to make sure that industrial uses are in and around industrial uses, right? We don't really want to see these uses next to commercial, where a lot of people are just the public is engaging with, and most certainly we don't want to see it next to residential. So just being mindful of that as we do our future visioning to make sure that we have these spaces that are identified for. If we want manufacturing and we do want manufacturing, let's make sure they're around other manufacturers, right? That's going to create a more healthy environment for everybody. And I don't mean just personal health, but you don't want to hear the stamping company stamping product when you're trying to go to bed. Or so those challenges just naturally exist in communities across the country, and we're just trying to do our best job to make sure that doesn't happen into the future.
Yeah, and there is a lot of opportunity out at the park still in terms of space for attracting new businesses, right?
Yeah, and we're forever mindful on the future expansion of it. Again, those strategies have yet to be developed. We're working on the development of those strategies, but you talk about you've got to purchase property, you've got to extend roads, you got to extend utilities. None of that is cheap. And the unfortunate part is anytime you say the city is interested, for some reason that means there's a lot of money to be made. And no, we don't have just an infinite number of monies available to do these activities. So we're just as challenged as anybody else, but we're still being committed and focused on developing the strategies.
Yeah. And then one other, in the realm of economic development, it's, we're aware of at least in one other business coming to Tipton, or plans to. So there's a lot of economic stories that'll be dropping over the next, 3 to 6 months. So we've
really been hard at work over the last 2 years, just having the conversations. It goes back to, why is this important? Why is this podcast important? Why is the other activities that we do online important? This is working. We're starting to tell the message of the City of Tipton. More and more people are starting to take notice as they start to get pushed out of other communities. They're asking the question, is Tipton interested? Is Tipton open for business? And these communication channels are helping us tell that story. Yeah.
And part of the story, I can't remember the specific conversation we were having, but it was either you and I, or we were speaking with somebody else, and it's the whole, people are afraid of turning into Carmel, right? Turning into Hamilton County. But there's no denying that growth will happen. You just look at it, it grew out from Indianapolis to the donut counties, and it's just going to keep going. But you've spoken specifically about being able to control the growth and control what it looks like for Tipton, so that we aren't just in the next 10 years, we're Carmel or whatever it may be. Can you speak to that strategy and why embracing growth is important to be able to control the narrative and control what businesses we want, what housing developments we want, and things like that?
Yeah, so being thoughtful and making sure that we plan appropriately. I think that this is, again, what we've been investing in the last 2 years, is making sure that the foundations across the city of Tipton are appropriate to withstand the growth that I know is coming. And we want to make sure Tipton's future identity, in my opinion, will forever be cemented in this. We want to be the most prosperous rural community in the state of Indiana. I think that's our identity. That's what makes Tipton so special. We don't want to grow to the point that we don't recognize it, right? That the values and beliefs that got us to this point then get eroded, and we just become the next big community. That's not what I think Tipton's vision is. But could we become a more sustainable, a prosperous, really thriving, revitalize this exciting space people want to be in? Yes, I do think that. So trying to be thoughtful, and for our economic development strategy, we're trying to position it to be, we want to support local business. That's we're incredibly entrepreneurial, so we want to support the local businesses that are here. And then ag is a big piece of this county's identity. So there's a lot of excitement happening in the ag industry. The state has continued to champion economic development strategies that align with the ag industry. That's where I think we can excel at. We have a lot of great companies in this community who are in and produce products for the ag industry. So I think being thoughtful of that, let's hone in a little bit. This approach that everything is of interest, likely, usually, almost always leads to no success, because you never know what to focus on. But if we can focus in on what is important to us, what helps reaffirm our own values and beliefs, the identity of this community, I think we're going to achieve success like we've never seen before. And then from a population perspective, because I've mentioned that previously, our vision is in being this prosperous small community, and small is very subjective, right? In fact, you probably saw in USA Today or USA, I don't know what it was, some publication identified that Carmel and Fishers were a top 5 small city in the United States, and we would all laugh, right?
Yeah.
Those are not small cities to us. Those are very big cities. So the term small city is very subjective. But for Tipton, I'm trying to approach this from an incremental perspective. Can we just get 50 new homes built? Can we get 75 apartments? Trying to think, let's not just go out and secure a 2,000 new home development like we do see in communities around us, and that's great for them. I just don't think that matches Tipton's vision, right? We want to be sure that when we do these build outs that we're also being mindful of our utility capacities, our road infrastructure, sidewalks, our park amenities, just being very thoughtful, not to limit growth, right? Not to make that the choke point, the bottleneck, but just making sure that we're doing this very thoughtfully. Tipton does have a bright future ahead of it. I want to make sure that we take advantage of that into the future. But at the same time, we're not going to operate in desperate mode.
Yeah.
Though the state legislature might be pushing us that way, we're going to be very thoughtful not to be desperate that we're just going to sell the farm to make it happen.
Yeah. Awesome. Going down the list, the next one, parks.
Yes.
Everybody loves our parks.
Yes. An amenity that is very often talked about with great admiration. So we're going to continue those investments. I think we've made some historic investments into our parks because we want those to continue to be something that is thought of with great admiration. So with the park district bond that we confirmed, we'll be repaving the drive through the city park. And I think to everybody's satisfaction that I seem to talk to, we're going to remove the speed bumps. Now, will they come back? There's always a chance of that.
Don't abuse the speed limit in the
correct.
Park. Yeah.
What I'm always interested in the psychology of these things. So what I'm interested in is let's put back the road without speed bumps to see, can we all just agree that we need to travel safely around our parks to make sure that the children of this community are safe?
Yeah.
I'd like to believe that this is true. However, there's always, I was a teenager once, right? That you can't just forget that component of it. So there are things that we can purchase. Like if we do need speed bumps, we can purchase them and then secure them, anchor them into the asphalt. But they will be such that if you have a car that
you're not bottoming out your
to
car.
You won't see the scrape marks on the speed bumps in the park. So that's kind of mundane, right? We're going to resurface the drive. How exciting for the kids playing at the park. But we are going to upgrade the parking lots across the park. So they're currently gravel. This is one of our biggest challenges when we look at our ADA transition plan for the city parks. Not only will this improve the ADA, I should say this backwards. Not only will this improve the aesthetics of the park and those gravel lots and the maintenance of it, but more importantly, it improves the accessibility. We've been very mindful in the last 2 years when we've done park improvements to add components that are accessible for everyone. Yet we still have some of this major infrastructure that's not, doesn't provide them the full accessibility that they deserve. So to that end, we're making that investment this year, and we'll be upgrading all those parking lots to asphalt. So we're slowly, well, maybe not slowly, I'd like to think aggressively, addressing these issues and making the city park really welcoming and accessible to everybody.
Yeah, it's great to have wheelchair accessible park equipment, but if you have to go through rocks in the parking lot to get there,
correct,
kind of defeats the purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's something else that's going to happen in 2026, and there's going to be other components. We're going through a scoping process right now to figure out what those are. So. And I suspect there's going to be some community involvement component to that to help us. But we're going to continue to make these park improvements because parks are very important, not only to, these economic development strategies, right, to attract people, but more importantly to the people who already live here. For the families and the grandparents who take their grandkids to the park, park amenities are very important. We want to make sure they're high quality, they're safe, and welcoming for everybody.
Yeah. So that, along with the new baseball fields, that whole area of town is going to look different by the end of 2026.
Correct.
So
much better.
Yes. Anything else happening with parks? I know maybe we had addressed the elephant in the room of the current commotion on the Facebook group is the, I'm going to draw a blank on it. Piece of equipment that was just
yes. The hamster wheel.
The hamster wheel, yeah. Can you tell us the story behind that?
It was acknowledged through some inspection that it was a piece of equipment that was getting to the point of being unsafe. Whether the slats on the actual hamster wheel or the slats were now getting to a point where kids would get their fingers stuck in them. And then, of course, the next concern is if they can get them stuck or far enough in, there's the opportunity for amputation. Other challenges with the little structure, the roof was of an age that needed replaced. So we did our due diligence as a City of Tipton, reached out to contractors almost to the point of begging for somebody to come and repair. We just couldn't find anybody who had any remote interest in. Now, of course, we'll learn on social media after this is published that everybody wants to, and unfortunate for that. But we really did make a best effort to preserve this piece of park equipment. We know the historic nature, and the value that had to the community. Now, of course, we've learned about some activities that maybe we're not so proud of. And we'll just leave that at that. But looking at this, I just said it earlier, we want these to be safe environments for the kids of Tipton and Tipton County. We had to make a decision. It was a tough decision, not a decision that any of us gladly made. There's nobody who would have said, we have to get rid of that atrocity, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody believes that. But we did have to make a decision. We hope the community can at least appreciate that what we didn't do was just remove a piece of equipment.
Yeah.
We removed a piece of equipment and then made a commitment to invest in another piece. So at least there wasn't a vacancy in the city park. You didn't lose in the number of pieces of equipment in the park. We did reinstall something new for the kids to play on. So that's sort of the history behind that. Mm-hmm. I would provide kudos to my team who did make every effort. We talked about this at several Board of Works meetings, the challenges that they incurred trying to secure bids, really stretching to try to find another contractor. So positive outcome, I think that, look, we viewed this from the safety of the kids of Tipton and Tipton County. Mm-hmm. That was our only priority when viewing this project, not that we wanted to erase some piece of history or a favored piece of equipment in the park. It was the safety was the number one priority. Yeah,
it'd be really hard to see a kid get injured knowing of the issues and then just letting it continue to happen. Yep. And it's only a matter of time until something catastrophic does happen, and then knowing that, we could have done something about that 6 months ago. Yep. It's a tough spot to be in.
Correct.
So it's unfortunate for the history of Tipton, but is the new equipment in?
It's getting installed, so I don't know if it's ready at the recording of this, but it is being installed as we speak. Or the last Board of Works meeting when the report was provided, the pad had been installed and the equipment was slowly being installed too. So, it'll be ready before spring, certainly.
Awesome. Anything else with the Parks Department?
Not with Parks, other than there's always more to come. What I've been talking about so far are things that are committed. We are committed to making these things happen. They will happen, but that's not the end, right? There's always the goals or the aspirations, the things that we want to do. It just becomes a reality of, do we have the fiscal resources? Do we have the capacity? Do we have the right environment or infrastructure to support it? So we're always continuing to look, and we're using that 5-year master plan for the Parks Department to sort of guide those efforts. But so far, what we know, those are the things that are going to be improved in the park.
Awesome. One thing, moving on from parks, is Discover Tipton.
Yes.
Don't think we've announced anything about it yet.
Correct.
So this is kind of the first you'll be hearing about it. So if you want to kind of just introduce what the Discover Tipton platform and goal of this campaign will be.
Yeah, going back to my time serving with the Main Street Association, she's going back as a committee member, board member, vice president, president. There's really been the shift in the country. And actually we see this in economic development where several decades ago, the strategy was let's build these strip malls really because of the deployment of the highway system across the nation. People are just more mobile. They want to go to these malls and they, to do all their shopping. We've really seen a rapid change, and Tipton as a community was late to appreciate this. Not that we didn't have it, not that we didn't have great businesses trying their hardest. Our local economy, and I think maybe even the state's economy to some degree, was a little slow to that embracing of the strategy. But since the pandemic was really the accelerator for us. In 2019, we secured a grant from Okra when I was working for Mayor Havens to do the downtown revitalization plan. The whole idea and goal with that was we needed to create a downtown environment where people wanted to be. 2019, we were struggling to get people to come to downtown. I think a lot of the businesses that we enjoy going to today didn't exist in 2019. So we fast forward, and now we find ourselves in now 2026. We don't have any struggle getting people to come here, right? Many people, organizations, or local businesses are hosting events. The struggle isn't getting them to come here. The struggle is just telling the message of why they need to come here. So what the city's doing is coming alongside our local organizations and I think our business community, more importantly, to make sure that we continue to support them. We're partnering with a marketing agency to start telling that story. How great of to be really honest, to be able to have figured out the retail side of a downtown economy for a rural community, that is tough. Tipton's done it on its own. There's been no large intervention that's artificially propped up these businesses. It goes back to that strong entrepreneurship. Tipton just has that entrepreneurship spirit. And so what I want to do is help ensure that they're here for the next 10, 20, 50 years. So we're going to launch this campaign, Discover Tipton, because that's what we want the state of Indiana to do. Discover Tipton, whether it's the main attraction might be to come downtown to go shopping or to go to the movie theater, eat at one of our eateries across the city of Tipton. But we want them to visit our parks, to visit our splash pad, our pool, our golf course. Like there's a lot of things, if we just take a moment to appreciate, there are a lot of things that somebody could come and spend a day at the golf course. They came and stopped by, grabbed breakfast at any one of our restaurants, went out to the golf course, played around, and then recessed and had a beer at the Mad Tab, or they went and had a drink at Casa de Caddy or Wheelies, the Shack. Like the list continues to go on. And then they had dinner. Like those are the experiences I wanted to start telling the state of Indiana. We are a really cool place to come visit. And whether you're a young family with young children, we've got opportunities. Whether you want to spend the day or the weekend on a gal's trip to go shopping in a unique place in the middle of everywhere, here we are. Like this is going to be an exciting deployment in 2026 and one that's going to lead to success, not because we're doing it, because we have the really easily sellable
It's already
features.
Here. It's just
yes.
Now
they already exist.
Yeah.
I don't have to manufacture that. I just have to tell their story.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. Maybe as you could tell, we're going to come alongside our business community, support them in a way we've never seen before to make sure that Tipton continues to be successful and that our downtown continues to be revitalized in meaningful ways that provide increased opportunity for those of us who live here and then prosperity into the future.
Yeah. So we say the words campaign and everything. What exactly does Discover Tipton look like in terms of, I don't necessarily want to call it deliverables, but what will people see with the words Discover Tipton or, across all the different platforms?
Yeah. So we expect this to be a very comprehensive campaign strategy. So from a marketing perspective, there's going to be traditional marketing that we're going to pursue, and those could be mailers. They could be even be billboards, very traditional marketing, flyers, strategically placed. I mean, we're not going to do this the traditional marketing pieces is probably going to be the smallest component of it, because those things are to get a billboard is expensive, and it's hard to track the success of billboards or flyers posted strategically. It'll exist because I think there's some creative ways, especially as we cross promote in the city of Tipton. I was just at not to just name drop this circumstance, but at East Street Provisions, and I see that their napkin holder has an opportunity to display a little placard or a card in it. I took a picture of that. Like, here's an opportunity that could the golf course and East Street have a unique relationship, or another business that may complement East Street Provisions have a partnership to cross-promote one another. So those are more traditional. But then there's going to be the social media components. We're thinking even from a modern perspective, the influencers that do exist in the state of Indiana. Can we somehow partner with them on TikTok and Facebook to drive traffic to the city of Tipton? There's obvious examples of these individuals. So we're having conversations, figuring out how can we creatively, for often low dollars, get some opportunity to tell our story. Yep. And then the social media components and all the assets that go with that, whether it's a Facebook page or an Instagram page, TikTok, all those are being explored. So we can really, in a sophisticated way, tell the story to a broad audience, because the opportunities we have appeal to a broad audience.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm getting from this is that you've committed to doing a TikTok live for all the kids once a month, right?
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Boy.
Just sit in your office and talking while you're working.
It might be entertaining for those maybe watching this to laugh at. Yeah. But I don't know if that would be success.
People would be like, "Who's Mayor Schmicker?" And
exactly.
then they Google it. It's like, "Oh, Tipton. I should go check out Tipton." You never know.
Maybe so. Yeah.
Awesome.
So no press is bad press. Is that what they say?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
So what's that looking like timeline wise? I know hopefully getting kicked off here soon.
But we kicked it off in December of 2025, and we did that. The original idea was January to December, but knowing that Valentine's Day is really the first big holiday kickoff for the downtown, we wanted to try to get ahead of that. I'm not sure that even on that kind of timeline that we'll have enough runway. Yeah. But that was sort of the plan, is to try to get ahead of some of these earlier holidays, Valentine's Day, and maybe to a lesser, but certainly our eateries, maybe St. Patrick's Day, and you have Easter, and then Mother's Day. You very quickly start to ramp up.
It's Memorial Day. And, and
4th of July, right? Father's Day, all those, they really come really fast. Yeah. So we wanted to get ahead of this as soon as possible. We're still working through exactly what are the pieces that we need to deploy, but we're starting to reach out to influencers, for example, to see can we have some conversations? Can we highlight the city of Tipton and encourage your visitation to show to your audience? And it's fun to think about that the city of Tipton is having conversations like this with influencers to just tell our story. Yeah, we're a really great place. Clearly, 5,300 people agree with that. So we just want to tell that message to the rest of the state of Indiana. Yeah,
that's awesome. Anything else that we haven't talked about looking ahead for 2026?
Those are all the things that we know are happening. Yeah. But there's still, like I mentioned about the parks, whether it's downtown and seeing some historic redevelopment occurring, we're continuing to have conversations. Housing is one that we have been working really aggressively on the last 2 years. And frankly, the economic realities of our country have been challenging in that effort, with high interest rates and with the cost of goods and materials. Like we're now maybe in the last 12 to 18 months have really started to see some normalization in the price of materials, and in the tariff war that we had, that we feel like there's now some consistency to. We understand what the realities are. So there's some of these that truly did affect the private sector and their willingness to take risk to develop a new project. We saw a lot of projects across the state, in fact, really get pulled back because of that just natural reaction to it. Yeah. But now that I think everyone understands what are the priorities, what are those realities, those are becoming more and more consistent. So we're starting to see more and more success in those conversations. So we're continuing to have conversations like that, improve walkability around the city of Tipton, just addressing some of the challenges in and around. We continue to make progress on those too. So yeah, there's certainly more to come. But here is middle of January, the list that we just talked about, those are all things that are happening in 2026.
Yeah.
But we sure hope that that's not the end.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know housing is obviously a big one, but,
Correct.
It's expensive to build.
Correct.
Especially on a bigger scale than just an individual house. And
right.
The price of goods doesn't just go down, or price of materials doesn't go down just because we're in Tipton and it's cheaper to live here.
Correct.
It costs the same to build an apartment complex in Tipton as it does in Hamilton County. So
correct.
There's challenges to it for sure.
There are challenges,
But no, that's exciting. Any last words before we wrap up? Or
just this is probably going to be one of the most successful years in at least recent history that we've had in the city of Tipton. So this is going to be a really exciting year. There's other businesses, prospects in our pipeline that we think are going to be really positive for this community. So for the folks listening, keep your eyes open. Exciting news to come. And we hope this isn't the end. We hope that we're going to continue to announce new exciting initiatives and just continue to build upon success after success.
Awesome. Well, that'll do it for this episode of the Tipton Thrives podcast. And if you're watching on Facebook, you're probably already following us there, but be sure to check out the City of Tipton's Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can just search City of Tipton and we'll pop up. So thank you for all the updates.
Ali, thank you for inviting me. We'll see you guys soon.